The River's Promise. In the heart of Daitse village, Malawi, where the sun baked the earth into cracked mosaics and the air carried the scent of dust and hope, 13-year-old Amara knelt by a muddy stream. Her small hands scooped water into a dented metal bucket, the liquid swirling with silt, its surface catching the golden light of dawn. She squinted, her dark eyes scanning the ripples for anything that might make her family sick again. Her little brother, Kofi, had been feverish for weeks last year after drinking from this very stream. Amara's mother, Esh, had taught her to look for the signs, a faint sheen of oil, a cluster of tiny bugs, anything that whispered danger. But today, like every day, the water was all they had. Amara's life was tethered to this stream, a winding scar through the village that gave and took in equal measure. It was a 2-mile walk from her family's mud brick home, a journey she made twice daily, her bare feet pressing into the warm earth, her shoulders aching under the weight of the bucket. She was quick for her age, her legs strong from years of fetching water, but the task stole hours from her mornings and evenings, hours she dreamed of spending with her books, tracing the letters she'd learned from the village teacher, Mr. Banda. Amara wanted to be a doctor someday, to heal people like Kofi, to make sure no one else lost a sister or a mother to the illnesses that lurked in the water. But dreams felt distant when the stream was her reality. On this morning, something was different. As Amara filled her bucket, a low hum vibrated through the air, like the distant growl of a truck. She stood, shielding her eyes against the sun, and saw a cloud of dust rising from the dirt path that led to the village center. The hum grew louder, and soon, a white van rolled into view, its sides emblazoned with a blue logo that read, WaterAid. Behind it, a group of people spilled out, their voices loud and excited, carrying cameras and equipment. At the front was a man with a wide grin, his energy electric even from a distance. Amara had heard whispers about him, MrBeast, they called him, a name that sounded like something from a storybook. He was the one who made things happen, who turned ideas into realities with the wave of a hand and the power of his voice. Amara's curiosity tugged her closer, the bucket forgotten by the stream. She crept toward the village center, where a crowd was gathering. Her neighbors, faces weathered by sun and struggle, murmured to each other, their eyes bright with something Amara hadn't seen in a long time, hope. Mr. Banda was there, his worn notebook tucked under his arm, explaining to the crowd that these strangers were here to build something. A well, a real well, with clean water that wouldn't make anyone sick. Amara's heart quickened. Clean water? She'd heard stories of such things, of taps that poured clear liquid like magic, but she'd never believed they could come to Daitse. The man called MrBeast, Jimmy, she heard someone say, stood on a wooden crate, his voice booming across the crowd. "We're here because water is life," he said, his words carrying a weight that made Amara stand straighter. "And together, with all of you, with people watching all over the world, we're going to make sure 2 million people like you get clean water for decades. This is #TeamWater, and it starts right here, in Daitse." Amara didn't understand everything he said, her English was patchy, learned from Mr. Banda's lessons, but she felt the energy in his voice, the promise of something bigger than her village, bigger than the stream. He spoke of a campaign, of raising $40 million, of creators from every corner of the earth coming together to make a difference. He mentioned WaterAid, the organization that knew how to build wells and pipes that would last, not just for a year or two, but for generations. Amara's eyes darted to the WaterAid workers, who were already unloading tools and marking a spot near the village square. She imagined a tap, right there, where she could fill her bucket in minutes, not hours. She imagined Kofi drinking without fear, her mother smiling without worry. But as the crowd cheered and the cameras rolled, Amara felt a pang of doubt. Promises were easy to make. She'd heard them before, politicians, aid workers, even well-meaning strangers who came and went, leaving behind half-finished projects or broken dreams. What made this different? She slipped through the crowd, her small frame weaving between adults, until she was close enough to see Jimmy's face. His eyes were bright, but there was something else in them, a fire, a determination that felt almost tangible. He wasn't just talking, he was doing. That night, Amara lay on her woven mat, the thatched roof above her leaking starlight. Kofi slept beside her, his breathing soft but raspy, a reminder of the fever that still lingered in his small body. She couldn't stop thinking about the well, about Jimmy's words, about the idea that her village could be the start of something massive. She whispered to herself, testing the words, Team Water. It sounded like a secret, a code that could unlock a future she'd only dared to imagine. The next morning, the village buzzed with activity. The WaterAid team worked with a precision that fascinated Amara. They didn't just dig, they listened. They sat with the village elders, including Amara's grandmother, Messi, who knew every story the land held. Messi spoke of the stream's history, how it had once been clean, how drought and floods had changed it. The WaterAid workers nodded, their notebooks filling with her words, ensuring the well would be built where the earth was stable, where the water would flow clean and steady. Amara watched from a distance, her bucket now a prop she carried out of habit. She noticed another figure, a man with glasses and a quiet intensity, directing the workers. His name was Mark, someone said, a friend of Jimmy's who used to build things for the stars, actual rockets, not just dreams. Mark knelt beside a pile of pipes, explaining to Mr. Bonda how the well would use solar power to pump water, how it would be maintained by the village itself. Amara edged closer, catching phrases like sustainable solutions and community-led. She didn't know what all the words meant, but she understood the care in his voice, the way he looked at the villagers not as problems to solve, but as partners. By the third day, Amara couldn't stay on the sidelines. She approached Mr. Bonda, her voice small but firm. "Can I help?" she asked. He smiled, his eyes crinkling with pride. "You already are, Amara. You're here, you're learning. That's the start." He handed her a notebook, one of his spares, and a pencil. "Write down what you see. Tell the story of this well. One day, you'll tell it to others." Amara took the notebook, her fingers trembling. She wasn't just a girl fetching water anymore, she was part of something. She began to write, her words clumsy at first, describing the men and women digging, the laughter of children who ran around the site, the way Messi's stories shaped the work. She wrote about Jimmy, who didn't just stand on crates and shout, he carried pipes, handed out water bottles, and played with the kids, his laughter as loud as his promises. She wrote about Mark, who showed the village boys how to clean the solar panels, teaching them to care for the well long after the cameras left. As the days turned to weeks, the well took shape. A metal frame rose from the earth, a pump gleaming under the sun. Amara's notebook filled with details. The way the WaterAid team trained her uncle to fix the pump, the way the village women planned a rotation to keep the area clean, the way Kofi's cough seemed to fade with every sip of clean water from the test runs. But Amara also wrote about her fears. What if the well broke? What if the water stopped? What if #TeamWater was just another promise that faded with the dust? One evening, as the sun dipped low, Jimmy sat with the villagers around a fire. The cameras were off, the crew resting. He spoke quietly, his voice different without the boom of a crowd. "This isn't just about Daitse," he said. "It's about 2 million people. It's about places I'll never see, people I'll never meet. But you're the start. You're the story we tell to make it real." He looked at Amara, as if sensing her doubts. "You think it's too big, don't you? Like it can't possibly work?" Amara nodded, her throat tight. She didn't trust her voice, but her eyes held his. "It's big," he admitted. "But that's why we're doing it. Me, Mark, thousands of creators, millions of people watching, we're all in this. WaterAid's been doing this for 40 years, building systems that last. We're not here to drop a well and leave. We're here to make sure it stays, to make sure you can trust it." Amara clutched her notebook. "How do you know it'll work?" she whispered. Jimmy smiled, not his big, camera-ready grin, but something softer. "Because we're not doing it alone. You're here. Your village is here. And out there, people are watching, donating, sharing. Every dollar means a year of clean water for someone. Every share means someone else joins us. It's not just my story, it's yours." The day the well was finished, the village gathered. The pump shone under the midday sun, and when Messi turned the handle, water gushed out, clear and cold, sparkling like a promise kept. The crowd erupted, children splashing each other, adults weeping and laughing. Amara stood back, her notebook open, writing furiously. She described the taste of the water, clean, like nothing she'd ever known. She described Kofi's smile, wider than she'd seen in months. She described the WaterAid workers, who stayed to teach, not just to build. That night, Mr. Banda read her words to the village. Amara's cheeks burned as her neighbors listened, their faces glowing with pride. "This is our story," Mr. Banda said. "But it's not the end. Team Water is bigger than Daitse. It's for the world." Amara looked at the stars, brighter now without the weight of worry. She thought of the 2 million people Jimmy had spoken of, people in places like Colombia, Bangladesh, Kenya, where water was as precious as it was here. She thought of the creators, names like Kai Cenat, Stokes twins, Dude Perfect, even Gordon Ramsay, who were sharing this story, making it bigger. She thought of WaterAid, with its decades of knowledge, turning money into wells, pipes, and hope. She thought of the $40 million, a number so vast it felt like a dream, but one she could believe in now. Months later, Amara sat in Mr. Banda's classroom, her notebook now a collection of stories. She'd written about the well, about Kofi's health, about her mother's relief. But she'd also written about the world beyond Daitse, about the videos she'd seen on Mr. Banda's old phone, where creators across the globe shared Team Water challenges, dances, and pleas. She'd learned that YouTube had matched $2 million in donations, that Shopify had given $500,000 to start the campaign. She'd learned that every dollar raised meant a year of clean water for someone, somewhere. Amara's dreams felt closer now. She still wanted to be a doctor, but she also wanted to be a storyteller, to share Daitse's transformation with the world. She imagined her words reaching the 2 billion subscribers Jimmy and his creators spoke to, inspiring them to act. She imagined her village as the first note in a symphony, one that could echo across continents. One day, a letter arrived, delivered by a WaterAid worker. It was from Jimmy, addressed to Amara. Inside was a simple note: "Keep writing. Your story is changing the world. Team Water." With it was a small camera, a gift to capture her village's new chapter. Amara held the camera, her heart full. She didn't know how many people would read her words or see her images, but she knew they mattered. She knew that every story, every donation, every share could bring clean water to someone else, a child like Kofi, a mother like Esh, a dreamer like her. A call to action. The story of Amara and Daitse is fictional, but the Team Water campaign is real. Launched on August 1, 2025, by MrBeast and Mark Rober, in partnership with WaterAid, Team Water aims to raise $40 million to provide clean, sustainable water to 2 million people worldwide. Over 3,000 creators from 84 countries, with a combined reach of 2 billion subscribers, are sharing this mission, from solar-powered wells in Malawi to gravity-fed pipelines in Nepal. Every dollar donated equals a year of clean water for someone in need. You can be part of this story. Visit teamwater.org to donate, share a video tagged at Team Water, or spread the word. Together, we can make clean water a reality for millions, one story at a time. Join Team Water today.